Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Best. So today I'm going to have what is going to be the weirdest video of the month and maybe even the year for the channel, because I try to remember the last word in the channel's name is esoteric, and even though I do more modern stuff and more conventional stuff these days, I always love a very weird deep cut. If you know me and the channel, it's one of my favorite things. So today we're playing the recently released translation of Gambler Queen's Cup. Is this the type of game that I would play in my spare time? Probably not. Is it one of the weirdest FM Towns games out there that makes absolutely no sense? Absolutely it is. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, down below hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I have a Patreon link down below as well. But the first question you have to ask yourself, and I need to answer for you, is what in the hell is Gambler Queen's Cup? It is one half a visual novel with a dating sim aspect to it, and is also one half a horse racing game. That is correct, it is a dating sim involving horses, but thankfully you're not dating the horses here, even though a couple of people in the translation definitely make that association and joke. But this is a very specific game for a very specific type of person. You have to like visual novels, you have to like dating sims, and you also have to like horse racing, because apparently you need to make enough money by winning at the horse races to go to these bars and entertain these women so that you can then get dates with them. That is just the ultimate truth of the game, and if you're ever wondering, buy the cheap whiskey. It is a Chicago special, trust me. More expensive doesn't do anything other than drain your wallet. All the alcohol has the same effect at the end of the night, and in Chicago, the $3 real whiskey is what we're going to drink. But off the top, you get to pick 3 different girls that you can talk to in the bar, and you have a whole range of different things to talk to them about. They will give you cues in English when you actually have to answer, and that's going to be the My Thoughts button. And again, like I said, sometimes I like to make videos even though I know the audience for them is razor thin, just because these are the weird aspects of gaming I love, and because I'm probably the one that talks more about FM Towns and FM Towns Marty than anybody else on YouTube, at least in the English language. I would definitely want to make sure I cover this one. And if you're not familiar, FM Towns is a computer and console. It was a Japanese exclusive, and I don't have one, but I actually have 2, which is probably 2 more FM Towns Martys than anyone really needs, because you can use an emulator. I use UMZ to capture this footage, and that is just because even with a RetroTink 4K or more 4K, the S video coming out is pretty soft, and it doesn't compress very well to YouTube in my opinion. But I love that this even exists in the first place. This game is absolutely lousy with text, line after line of it, and David Pasquarella, aka Ateam, and everyone he worked with, who I will leave in the description below, have translated every single line over. It's funny, it's conversational, you'll understand exactly what's going on, and you'll get the hints, innuendo, and intonation of each character's voice, even though there is no voice acting in the game. And again, that is just absolutely hilarious that even something like this would exist back in the day. But obviously horse racing games are huge in Japan. Just recently I talked about one on a Namco System 23 board, and it's one of those things. It might not be a genre here, but it's definitely a genre in Japan. And you'll see here we're on our first date with somebody we met at the bar, and they're talking about just basically finding each other, and then a creepy man in a trench coat that has been watching her. So there's definitely a little bit of mystery as well, but trust me, I didn't get very far into this. I'm doing it for the overall video aspect, and I'm probably never going to sit down and play the entirety of this game. It just is one of those things. I do like a good visual novel, but dating sim really doesn't do anything for me, in horse racing game, unless it's Final Furlong, really not something I'm going to talk about on the channel. But if you're into it, I'm stoked for you, and I really appreciate from the preservation standpoint, like people like Ateam will actually spend the time with other groups of people to bring these things over and just make sure if you do want to enjoy it in English language, you're able to do so. And we have to move into the horse racing because of course that is half of the aspect of this game, and I absolutely love the MS Paint style artwork, at least in the horse racing. I would say the scenes in the bars or at the horse race when you're actually talking to characters, pretty well accomplished and realized, but here it definitely has a sort of paint by numbers in MS Paint, maybe Windows 3.1 or 95 vibe. And as far as how do you bet, you just kind of throw some numbers up on the board, but later on in the video I will show you they do have a tutorial on all the horse racing as well. But there's also a cheat engine, so you can just give yourself infinite money, so it won't really matter if you win the horse race or not. You're going to be able to basically just sit there and progress the story, which is a really nice touch. But this is half of this game. You're just picking horses based upon information, based upon odds, and you're watching them run in this little like 4-frame animation, hoping that your horse might come in first and you might win some money. But it's soundtrack sample one time right now. Go ahead and listen for like 45 seconds or so. It is some interesting music, and I'll be back to talk more about the game and how you can play it. I mean, I don't really know what music you would use for a horse racing game that's also a dating sim, but that seems to make contextual sense. But I do hope you like the music, because it is going to play for 5, 6, 7 minutes in a row in a scene until you move on to the next thing. But again, it's not the worst thing in the world, so it doesn't really matter. And like I said, I understand that the audience for games like this is absolutely narrow. Something like X-Girl Cyberpunk Adventure, a video I did maybe 3 years ago, is completely in Japanese. I understand nothing going on, but that series was called Just Here for the Vibe. Sometimes you want to play a game, maybe it's atmospheric, maybe it's vibey, maybe the art style is very dramatic, has that really 16-bit dithered look to it, and that's totally cool. Even if you can't understand what's going on, sometimes you can still just appreciate what the developers were trying to do. But now in 2025, you can play this in full English, and again, I can't stress enough, just think of how many lines of dialogue you've seen right now. Every single character has their own unique set of dialogue, every single interaction has its own unique set as well, so having to translate every single line over, not only just doing the actual translation, but then injecting it into the game, that is a metric shit ton of work, and honestly, it's to be commended even if you don't care about the game whatsoever, because Ateam and a bunch of his friends have been definitely translating a lot of fun stuff over. Just recently we got Team Innocent on the PCFX, a game that I'm always stressing is a hidden gem, and now that's in English as well. But I'm going to do one more soundtrack sample for the horse racing music in and of itself, because it is quite entertaining, and I do love the fact that this game has a full horse racing mechanic in it. Not something you would expect to see whatsoever, but it's there, it's fun, and actually is technically way more visually impressive than you think.
Takes the lead. She's turning it on. Mappy moves into the lead. And surging into second is Dragon Spirit. Dragon Spirit takes the lead. Soul Blade is closing fast. The race is...
I mean, obviously I'm just fucking with you at this point in time, because that is Final Furlong from Namco, and I had a little extra clip there, so I figured I would use it. And even the title screen, if you can't tell already, this game is a quote-unquote vibe. And maybe it's your vibe, maybe it's not, no judgments whatsoever, but you need to know how to play it if you want to, because you'll see here, it is looking for a floppy disk. There's going to be a floppy disk image for the save disk on the GitHub that you can download, and then pop into your emulator of choice, or even burn a disk for something like the FM Towns Marty, or even the FM Towns, or use an optical disk emulator for those actual floppy drives. There's also a comprehensive list on how to patch this, and I put this all towards the back end of the video because I figured not many people are even watching, because again, I know sometimes I just burn a video off because I want to talk about something that's clearly impressive, clearly a ton of work, but otherwise isn't going to see a very big audience, and maybe I can make a few more people play it. And again, the horse racing can be very confusing, so there is an entire horse racing tutorial written out on GitHub, so you can basically try to figure out what's going on here. But it's just one of those things. This game is absolutely wild, makes no sense whatsoever. You have to wonder what the audience was even in Japan back in the 90s and why it exists in the first place. But that's kind of what I love about games like this. They don't make sense, they aren't really for many people, but somebody or a team of somebody's out there was passionate enough to make a full visual novel dating sim with horse racing, probably just because they love those two things. And clearly the translators and modders of Gambler Queen's Cup love them as well, and love bringing these weird things to the forefront. And again, because they translated Team Innocent World Police, I figured I deserve to burn off a video talking about what has got to be the strangest game out there. Leave me a comment down below and you tell me, if you could snap your fingers right now and make one translation appear overnight, which one would it be? For me, it's Dead of the Brain Part 2, just because the original Dead of the Brain, a horror visual novel, has been translated to English, but Part 2, which completes the story, has not yet, so I really don't know how it ends. I'm sure it's weird and amusing in all the best and worst ways possible, but it is one that I would love to see. So tell me down below, what game would you love to see translated? And if I could pick a second pick, it would be Sega Gaga on the Dreamcast as well, but that is actually in progress. But I just love these translation projects. Not only are they heavily technical, they're also heavily fun. To think about putting all these lines of dialogue into the game code, and then think of having to sit down, read them all as a Japanese reader, speaker, and then translating them over to English. Not just a literal translation, but a conversational one, so it doesn't sound stilted or weird. So Gambler Queen's Cup is here today. I left a link to the GitHub description below. I'm assuming 99.99 out of 100 of you are never going to play this game, but even if you're not interested, it is still fun to celebrate it. It's a massive achievement, a massive amount of work, and honestly, what other game is going to combine both dating sims and horse racing in the same time? I can't think of another game that does that, but honestly, every time I say that, someone leaves a comment down below and proves me wrong. So if you know of one that combines the two, let me know. But we're done, let's go to the races, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.